Here we go. We are now live. We are the Mad Scientists. I'm Mad Frankie. This is Violet Igel over there. And together we make the Mad Scientists. And we're as mad as pots. Crackpots. So, Violet over there is going to disappear. But she's got lots of lovely things she's doing over there. So hopefully we'll have a look at that later. I've got a few books here I've got this Draw Yourself Calm, which sounded like a good idea. Got a lot of different types of drawing ideas for scribbling and different patterns and things like that. It's got quite a lot in it. It's one particular style, I would say, because the author is Amy Maricle, Maricle.
Okay.
Amy Maricle. And this is one style, her style. It's quite exact. If you look at this, it is very precise and very exact, which isn't all that much like me, who is about as inexact as you could possibly get. Now, I like this. This is more randomish looking. But I've also been looking at Denise Love and her intuitive painting exercises, as well as what's it called? Pete.
Illustrations by Pete.
Pete, and you have to whisper.
Illustration by Pete.
That's the one. Yep. And he's more do it as it occurs to you, not put the next line exactly by that line. He's not so much like that. He's more intuitive, and I like the intuitive ideas. But I also got these books. These are all by Jean Haines, Haines. Haines. There's Paint Yourself Positive, Paint Yourself Calm, and Colour and Light in Watercolour. Now, Jean Haines is a very loose artist. She does everything in a very loose style, which I really, really like. I mean, that's elephants. That's about as loose an elephant as you can get. That looks like a daffodil. And that's a portrait. And there's a mask, Venetian mask. And she then talks about materials, like all artists seem to do. And then there's colour, a hare, almost a hare, a sea turtle. But you can see just how loose that is. I mean, it's there, but it's undefined. It's seen through the lens of the water, sort of thing. And most of everything else is in a similar way. Frog in autumn leaves. It would have taken me hours to figure out that was a frog, but you can see it once you know. And I really like this loose style. Well, you can see that this is goats, possibly, or rams, from a photograph of goats in Turkey. Now you can see the original, and then you can see her interpretation of it, which I absolutely love. All that looseness, and I have never been able to do that. So this is something I'd really like to get into, this more loose style of doing things. And I think things like this, and Denise Love's intuitive painting, which is much more freeing up, which is something I'd like to have a go at today, as Venice, St. Mark's in Venice, a butterfly, the herb picker, Turkey. All this sort of thing is all very loose and calm, as are all of these. There's some simple buildings. There's lots of things in these. Any one of these would be a lovely book to study for some time. I just happened to see them on Amazon. I thought, oh, look. Oh, she's got another one. Oh, another one. So, of course, I went a bit nuts. So, those are a good idea, I thought. And I can recommend Illustrations by Pete, because he waffles He's obviously done the drawing beforehand and then come back and done a voice over it. And he talks about different things while he's doing it. It's fascinating to listen to. He really is. So I can recommend him. And I've been making some notes here. Intuitive painting, mark making afterwards. And then I had been doing, that was sort of one part. And then I've been doing, playing a VR game called The Room, A Dark Matter. And in it, there's a moon phases key, which I absolutely love. A ruby glass, goggles with lenses. And I just fancy making something from it. There's lots and lots of things in it. So many things you have to collect to do various little jobs within to solve the puzzles in the game. And I thought it might be nice to do something out of that. So that's something else for another time. But at the moment, intuitive painting and Pete. Illustrations by Pete. Yes, or with Pete, can't remember. So there's that. So I'll put that aside because we don't want to draw on that. And then I'm looking at paper because one thing I have noticed, which when you think about it is obvious when you look back, but so many people when they talk about watercolor, they say you don't really have to have very expensive paints. There's a range of paints between paints that are so difficult to use you can barely get out of any color out of them, which are your really, really basic kids painting paints, which are hard to use because you can't get much color out of them. And there's a really top of the range stuff that is so juicy and gooey that you barely have to wet it to get some color out of it. That's my view, which could be completely wrong, but that's my view of how paints range from the really cheap to the really expensive. And of course, at the really cheap end, you've got paints that are not so easy to use because they're not highly pigmented, because of course, the more pigment, the more costly, the more you have to pay, and the more of the expensive ingredients are going into it. So the higher price the paint sets get. Plus, at the bottom range, you get a basic set of colors, which will be your basic red, green, blue, black and white, and then mixtures of those. And then you've got the ones at the higher end, which are more like, you've got earth tones, which depends on where they find the earth to make the different colors, like Venetian red, yellow ochre. I mean, there's an ochre mine in the UK, the one remaining one, but there are ochre mines all over the world where you can get different colors and different types of color. I mean, there's a terra verte, which is a particular type of green, which is quite grainy looking, like some of these lovely granulating paints you get. But when you get to the top of the range, not only do you get those, but you get all the other colors as well. You get a choice of various different chemically made paints. And I say chemically made, I don't mean that the people are using chemicals. Well, they were originally using chemicals because it was easier to reproduce the exact same color. But some of the original colors, like chrome colors and things like that, and lead-based colors, could be really dangerous to use for painters. I mean, if you're using a paint with lead in it, you could easily get it into a cut or a scratch or accidentally touch your lip when you've got paint on your fingers and you've got lead in your system. So, of course, the colours these days are less dependent on those less good for you chemicals and looking more towards the chemicals that are not so dangerous. And you get better colours. I mean, they used to use lapis lazuli, which was a particular blue, and it was a really high quality blue, would be really, really beautiful blue. And the lesser quality blue would be more of a duller blue, yeah? Whereas nowadays they produce ultramarine blue, which is about the most beautiful blue you can. And it's always consistently that colour. In the past, it wouldn't have been, because it would have depended on where they sourced the lapis lazuli from, and therefore what quality it was. Because you might have to mine for a long time and find sort of mediocre lapis lazuli, and then suddenly get a vein of really good blue. So these days we have more choice and more consistency of colour, which is lovely. But of course, most of us, well, a lot of us I can't afford really, really expensive colours like these Daniel Smith and things, which I would love to have some of. But sometimes we get really lucky at Christmas and we get some really lovely colours. Like I've been lucky enough to get some of these beautiful Kuretake ones for Christmas. This is the Art Nouveau set. I thought we'd have a play with that, some of the colours in there. And then I've got this Paul Rubens set that I got for Christmas from my husband, which are a lovely set of colours. I'm sure I've shown this before in a previous one, but actually, when I was doing one of those flower paintings, this one in fact, I found that the Paul Rubens colours seemed to blend better together than any other colours I used. I think I used some Winsor and Newton, and I think I also used some of these, not this particular set, but some Kuretake ones. And if you limit the colours, you get a good range. But this was my attempt to do this with the Kuretake, and it didn't blend so well. You can see that the yellow didn't blend as well here as it did here. With here, you can still see the yellow. So I'm going to have another go with the Paul Rubens on that sort of blending and see, because I really only did it on the one, partly because I had others to try as well and test out.
Did you just enjoy it so much. Are any of the paint colors there that you used, are any of them from your dad's set too?
Yes, I did use some Winsor and Newton, so some of these would have been Winsor and Newton. I think that one might have been Winsor and Newton. I can't remember now. I'd have to look back at the stream, the particular stream.
Yeah, quite old too.
Yeah, but Winsor and Newton are a good quality company, good quality paint maker. And so what was I going to say? I've lost track of what I was thinking about. Oh dear.
Said, I'm sorry I disrupted you, and look at your notes, see if it bumps your...
No, I've gone past my notes. I've gone into other things. That's the trouble. Stream of consciousness. Suddenly I'm unconscious. Anyway, so what do we do today? Well, I want to do some of the Denise Love things I've been looking at. She chooses a limited palette of colours and uses just those colours. So let's put the Paul Rubens away for now. And I haven't tried the Kuretake yet. So I think it might be an idea to use some of those. And I'd like to use some of these, because these are the Art Nouveau. And I'm not convinced that I've got exactly the same colours, because that was why I wanted the Art Nouveau in the first place. So I've got, what's these? Let me see. It'll be in the lid. There we go. So we've got beige grey. This one. And we've got alizarin crimson. Let me see. Alizarin crimson. No, I don't seem to have the alizarin crimson in the other set. So that alizarin crimson is an odd colour. I don't remember any other alizarin crimson in any other set being this pink colour. I always thought alizarin crimson was a deep red. Has been in any other set. Just let me have a quick shufty over here. Alizarin. No, there's no alizarin in that one either. So what's the next one? Next to alizarin's coral pink. No, we ain't got new to that either. So that's a new one for this one. And this one looked new as well, which is potter's pink. Now I've come across, no, that's second row. No, it's mauve taupe. That one's mauve taupe, not coral pink. That's coral pink above it. There. So it's this one I'm interested in, mauve taupe. And there's old mauve, and there's greyish blue. Now, when I saw Denise loved doing one. I've seen her doing various different different color sets for different streams, different videos she's done. So, like for instance, she would pick a green, another green, a blue, and something like Payne's grey or something like that, or whatever this is. This is shadow green. So maybe something like that as a set. Or else another time she pick something like that, and perhaps this, which is the billiard green, and then perhaps something like that, which is the ecru beige. So she got this color box set where the color box gives you a little picture and then shows you the colors that were used in that little picture. And she was using some of the colors in that picture, some of that set, to be her colors for her stream that day, or video, whatever. It wasn't a stream. So I fancy doing something like that, but we've already got 2 down here. By that I mean I've already got 2 down here, so we've got 2 more to do there, but I'm not ready to do those, so I want to get rid of that altogether, because we've got some some papers here, which is what I wanted to use, and I was going to use one of these papers. So what I've got here is 3 different choices. I've got Bao Hong pure cotton watercolor paper, 300 GSM, and that's 10.2 by 7. It's almost an A4, roundabout ish. And this is the Langton. Oh, the point about this, by the way, is it's a block. You know, you open there and you put your knife around to take it off. So it's on a block. So this will mitigate some of the buckling you get with watercolor paper, hopefully. Now, I've used it before, but I never really paid much attention. This is similar. It's also a block. You take off the top sheet and then you've got the rest of the sheets underneath. Let's say get a new one out. This one will do. So on the Bao Hong, you would open it that way. And on this one, we've got the little feed to show that you open it there. And then I've got another choice underneath. I'll show you in just a moment. There, so now I can paint on that. And because it's a block, it, again, like the Bao Hong, shouldn't come up, but it's a slightly bigger sheet size. I like that. So we'll put the Bao Hong down for now. If you wanted to do a couple, that would be a good one for that. This one would be better for 4. And there's one other option. This one. I went into the local Hobbycraft, and when I saw the Langton, I thought, I've had that before, and I had. And this one is another choice, but this one is art board. You see? So that should also mitigate any buckling, because it's attached to a board. It's not just paper. So if you're going to use wet in wet techniques, that's a good choice. I'm not sure if I'm going to use wet in wet techniques, so let's put this away for now. That's just some notes I made on that one that we did previously. So if we're getting this one out, right. So I've got lots of brushes now at the moment, including, I was just showing Violet this set because I had fun brushes the other day that I was using, but they're all quite soft. As you can see, beautifully soft. Beautiful, beautiful brushes. But they bend and snap back and they stay, they're soft. But these, which are boar bristle, are quite stiff. So you can hear that. I'm going to get more stipply, scratchy marks with that, which is exactly what I wanted. So I've now got a range of sizes of those. We'll start with a little one because it's easier to get into a pan. See how it goes. I've got loads of water everywhere, and I've also got some pearl white Amsterdam acrylic ink, which I got from after watching Patty Tolly Parish. She was using it with some other things, and it was showing up so beautifully against the other colours she'd already used that I went, oh, I must get some of that. So I got that. I've also ordered some stuff called bleed proof white. I've got no idea how it compares to anything else, but it's something to think about. So I wanted to try it out. So I've got my water, got my ink. I've got some other inks of different colours. Don't know whether I'll use any others. I wanted to use some copper, but when I was thinking about that, I was thinking, yes, but I have some calligraphy inks that have copper in them, although they're another colour. So let's look at what I've got in that. Well, I've got Caramel Sparkle, which isn't exactly copper, but it's rather nice. But it's this caramel colour ink. I've also got, well, I've got green ink, which is not what I meant at all. But then I've got some neon green ink that I got for Christmas from my daughter. Neon Lime Diamine. That's a lovely colour. Would like to use that someday. Not necessarily today. I've also got some more of these Ecoline inks. But I, as I said, was thinking about the other ink, like this, which is Pearlescent Ink Brilliant Violet, which has a sort of reddish tone with it. And I can't see the colour. I can't see the colour. I mean, I can see the colour, but I can't tell what it's called. Gives you a hint as to what it does. Well, we'll leave that for now. It's only an Ecoline colour. Wasn't what I was looking for. These are the ones I was looking for. Here we are. These things. Because those, they have a mica in them. Because here, this one's got a silver in it with the blue ink, and the silver is a lovely colour. This is a chameleon red gold. So it's a reddish orangey ink with a almost coppery colour there. This has got absolutely got copper in it. It says so on the label. This is velvet black with copper. Now that is the one I was thinking of. That could be good, but I need a pen for that. So, or I can use a brush. You can use a brush with these as well. It's not impossible. And then there's this one, Pearlescent Magenta Red Gold. They're lovely fiery colours. So if you want a spot of colour, if you don't want to use black ink or gold ink or silver, one of those might be a good idea. That's all I was thinking of. But to start with, I want some tape, and I'm thinking about this. I really need some thinner tape than that. I need it half that size, really, don't I? I think that's what you were saying, Violet, a few minutes ago.
Yes, my frog tape is probably more wide than I need. So
Yeah.
When I tape down, more of it will be off the paper than on. But it's the center. It's when I divide. It's all right if I was just taping it down to a board. But yes, when I put it there, it's certainly more wide than I need.
Exactly. Well, that's the difficulty, because I like the white border that you can get when you're using a tape like that.
Yes, me too.
But when you use the frog tape, it's too wide for that. Definitely is too wide for that. But you can use it half at the edges to create a white border around there.
I can take an X-Acto knife or utility knife, whatever, and score and cut, but it won't be straight. It won't be as straight as machine cut. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So
well, that's what I was thinking, you see. That's why trying to do it in the middle of a stream, or even trying to do it when you know what you're doing, you've got to have something to stick it on from which it will release again without taking any of the sticky off, so you can then put it on the paper.
Yep.
So that it won't release when you don't want it to.
Yep.
Got enough sticky to stick down, yes. So I'm just going to use this, and I'm going to put the same size all the way around, so I've got the same size border. Not because I need it to keep the pad from buckling. So that's not the reason for it this time. And one here. So I've got to decide what colours I'm going to use. I still haven't quite decided. Hesitating as usual. That's me. Mrs. Hesitation. Right, so I now have that all stuck down. So I'm going to take some of these palettes out. I think I'm going to really sort of do something I don't normally do, which is these pinky colours. Or am I going to do the greeny colours? I'm probably safer with the greens. What I fancy, actually, what I really do fancy, because I've got these, using some of these as well. So I've got the purplish black there. These are the graphite ones. They're not Kuretake, they're beaucoup undo, which if it was French would mean lots of undoing it. Beaucoup undo. So that's your purplish black. I think the purplish black is a good idea. And probably the bluish black out of the Kuretake. And I think we will go for that one. Just because it's odd. So we'll go for those 4 colours. That's plenty. Plenty of probably too many. But these 2 are on the similar strain. And EO6. I'm going to use this paintbrush, which is an Artway Quill number 2, which I've used before. So I think that's a good idea. And I'm going to start off with this. I like the quill. I love the ability of it to see. I can always go back over these with more water, which is what I like about it. Just dink it in the water and just spread it around a bit. Now this different colour, which is also a graphite one. Smoky sort of cloudiness of it. Spread it around a bit. I might have needed a slightly bigger canvas than I've been using here. Now the colours. I love this green. This is a really, what's it called again? 301. 301 is called Old Mauve? No, that's not right. Lower down. Cobalt green. 503. Cobalt green. Yes, that's what it is. Cobalt green. It's a lovely colour. It's almost like the malachite. There we go. Trying to do different marks, not all the same scribbliness, you know? Trying to vary things, but without meaning anything, you know, without trying not to do any lettering or drawing grass with a green colour, you know, that kind of thing. Trying not to be that deliberate. This one is greyish blue. That's the greyish blue, isn't it? Yes. This is very relaxing, very calming. just putting blobs of colour on. And actually, I might go in and use some of that pink anyway, but I don't think I will. I'm resisting it. I need to dry this, and then I think take off this sheet, keeping the tape in place until it's dry anyway. I'm going to try the artboard. I'll leave that to dry. It's not really that dry, but I don't want to move this too much. These blobby bits, I want them to dry as blobs. Right. Now I want to do a similar sort of thing, but this time with blocks of colour rather than squiggles. See what that does. So similar thing. Start with the green.
I've actually been thinking about doing cards like this using my non-dominant hand.
Oh yeah, very good idea.
Yeah.
Yep. Now I've got here the purplish, which I can't remember which it is. I want to put a bit of the colour on there, you know. That would be better. This one, which is whatever that is, which I think is the purplish one. It's just more purple, that one. It's more that. So I want some of this one. And I don't want to use the purplish one this time. What I want to do is go back into the box. Back into the box. This is the purplish one, so it goes there. So what I want is greenish black. The greenish one. So I've got green and green and blue and blue. Bluish black, blue. Green, greenish black. That's my idea. Don't know if it'll work. No point using it if it's just going to look like black. If you're using it because it's a greenish black, best move it around so it actually does what you want it to do. What I'm thinking. There we go. I think I might be better looking at these little ones using a bigger area, like the Bao Hong in 2. So just use 2. So I thought that again needs to dry. How's this getting on? Still not quite dry. There's a lot of blobbiness here, so I want that to dry. Let's get to the Bao Hong. I was watching somebody doing 10 just a minute. 10 either Instagram or TikTok hacks, and she was sort of trying them, and some of them she was saying, well, it sounds wacky, but I'm gonna try it. So she tries it, and she was right, it was wacky, it didn't work. And she did a second one that was about as bad. She said it was using a balloon, a tiny balloon on the end of your paintbrush or pencil as an eraser, if you haven't got an eraser. She said, like we've all got those little tiny balloons, loads of them all over the place, haven't we? I haven't. And I don't think she had either. And then the third one was to put some tape on the wall, like that. Put some tape on the wall, piece like that on the wall, paint white paint, let it dry, come back, paint the colour you want, say for instance green, down the tape, and then she did another test one on the other side without using any white paint, but using tape, painted the green right next to the tape over the tape. And then when they were dry, she peeled the first one off. She said, look, you can see that the wall is bumpy. And most walls are like this because of the way the plaster's put on. And you can never get a straight line. She said, I know, because I was trying to do such and such on my wall, something. She was either a painting. Oh, yes, it was Van Gogh Starry Night. And then when they'd both dried, she peeled off one and showed the bumpiness of that line. Peeled off the other one where she'd put down the white paint first. It was the straightest line you've ever seen. It was gorgeous. Wonderful. She said, good Lord, it worked. So, I mean, that's a really good tip, that one. So, yeah, that was fascinating watching that. Now then, what am I going to do now? Well, let's use the pink that I've been putting off using because I'm not a pink person. Let's use that one. Just a sort of cross between the pink and the purple. So we'll use that instead. I'm the reluctant pink person. I'm just creating a sort of textury bit there. Doing it again. Just for the fun of it. I'm going less and less deliberate on each one. I'm just damaging the paintbrush probably. Not using it in the way it ought to be used. But these are good brushes. They really are. I mean, you saw how I damaged it there. And then I went back and went into the paint and hey presto, it's actually a lovely shape again. As long as you don't let it dry like that in a bad shape. Just trying to get a bit of texture so that this time a block of colour isn't a solid block, but has some texture to it. And I'm going to do another bit on each one. Da green, da green, da green.
That tape you use kind of matches the colors you're using.
That's it.
Well, it goes well with it.
Well, it's got a nice sentiment. Well, about you. Let's just. I was thinking I'd quite like to use a darker green Not the greenish black, but a darker green. Just because I've used a lighter green. Somewhat close to the other one, but it has more body. I love the way it just forms this beautiful, beautiful, staggeringly pointy point. Oh, in love with the paintbrush. Now, I think that's enough. I mean, I'd love to use some blue, but I think that's enough. I think that's enough, yes. Let's leave that to dry. But before I do that, let's get some fresh water. This one isn't quite dry either. Oh, it's a bit too much. Create some blooms. That one's more for pulling out. Lifting out is the word I'm looking for. Like that. And still getting texture. Lovely. There we go. So that's about dry, apart from that bit there.
I really like that one.
Yes, I like this one. It's more random. I was trying to get a bit too deliberate with the others. I mean, I wanted to get deliberate. I just want to see what happened. Well, that shows you. Yes. And this one on the board. It certainly hasn't warped at all, which is lovely. I wonder if I can do any lifting out there. Now I've got some blobs that I've put on here and here, and I'm going to leave those, see what happens, if anything, which I doubt, but you know, I've got a feeling we might, possibly. Not a very good feeling. This one I haven't done any of that with. So I'm going to peel the tape off. That's a beautiful white border, isn't it? So I think this needs to be, I can't remember which way around it was now. That one.
So that blocking worked out nicely.
It did. It hardly warped at all, this one. It's good. Did get one page off only. Good, 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 good. It does make quite a difference, doesn't it? When you peel off the tape and you've got a lovely white border, even with this one, which is less successful, I think, it still helps.
I love the colors here, Fran. I mean, you know what? Set it aside and come back and revisit it and see what more you want to do to it.
Yeah.
The colors are really nice.
I'm not wild about this one.
I know.
It's that pink. It's that pink. It's really putting me off. But I forced myself to use it. I had to beat myself up over it. And imagine what it would have been if I'd used the other pink, the one that was even worse. I mean, you might not think worse, anybody else might not think worse, but to my tastes, worse. So, we have that one, and that one. And I think I like this one most, or maybe that one. Right, that one's had a good time now. There we go, those are the two that were waiting. I think he replied saying that, something like that. So, I like these two. These two are nice. I like the colour range in these two.
I like them all. I think that one would be the least favorite, and I think you need to set it aside. You'll come back and look at it, and
yeah, I will. But
agree, the other two are the best.
I didn't fill the space enough with
Right.
with what was there, I don't think.
And again, there's the option of graphite pencils, stencils, Prismacolors. There are so many options of things you can do.
I think it would be good Inktense blocks or the Inktense. So, I would think that was quite successful as an exploration of the colours.
New colors, new palette. Yeah, very nice. I like those.
Mine isn't finished for a start. And that's why I'm doing this.
Yes, yes. Yes, that's what I will go in and do here, but I'm going to set it aside. My eyes are full. I'm going to set it aside and let my brain come back to it and see how I want to do what you're doing, because I have some Ecoline watercolors too.
Well, this is not Ecoline. This is the Amsterdam Pearl White.
Ooh.
It's lovely. It's really strong. I tried it just a moment ago with the Posca pen, and it was awful. It wasn't doing this one wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. It was just picking up colour from the paint underneath.
Yeah.
But this is actually going over it. This is much better. Much better.
So I've also been doing this.
I pressed mute by mistake. I beg your pardon. I was trying to press solo so I could see what you were doing. So if you said something, I missed it.
I didn't say anything. I get a notification that you muted me, so I was quiet.
Okay.
So those are my characters.
I can't really see them. Your camera's very, very dark.
Yeah,
I
it's
wonder
the
if it's
Kindle.
here. I like those. I like the ears on the one on the right. Yes.
Those aren't ears. Those are devil horns.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, that explains it.
He's a blob.
I wanted to use this, you see, as I said. Now, I must have something somewhere. I want a brush, a little tiny brush. I've got loads of little tiny brushes. I should have billions of them. I went and got loads. So, oh, yes. These. I can have a look at some of these. I forgot all about them before. And there's some beautiful, beautiful little detail brushes and a rigger in that set. And that one is lovely. I really love really tiny detail brushes. Gorgeous they are. Here we go. Let's have a look at this one. This one is wonderful. Let me shake up the ink. And I want to get rid of this one because it's quite blobby and I'm bound to put my fingers or the side of my hand down on it. So I'll move it out of the way for now. And I'll bring this one back into play on this one. Now this is the black with the copper. Let's hope we can get a nice bit of colour on there. And see what I can do here. I'm not going to get much if I don't get much more ink on there. That's a bit better. I've got some beautiful mottling here in this patch. I can't remember which one it was. We'd have to have a look back and see what it was I was using. One of the one of the Boku Anbu graphite colours. But I can't quite tell from here whether it was the blue-grey or the purple-grey. You know what I mean? But it's some lovely blooms. I mean, you just look at these beautiful, beautiful blooms going on in there. There's a lovely bloom there and all this lovely speckling here as well. Don't really want to go over it too much. I'm going to put some in this green now. I don't want to turn it into anything. So I'm going for the abstract rather than the little faces.
You're not going for a long necked giraffe?
No, I'm not.
With
I'm
three
just
legs?
going for pattern and shape. So don't mind using really delicate, tiny paintbrushes to create little tiny shapes. I love that. Lovely, lovely.
You're going to have to bust out the gold.
No, I don't want to. I like this. I know that I'm not getting the copper on this. That's probably because I didn't shake it up enough.
Right.
But I'm loving the effect of the that lovely pearl white. That's looking wonderful. I was thinking about getting a copper ink, but I've got so many other things with copper in them somewhere. I'm sure I must have something else. Velvet black copper. This is the one, I think. Yeah, this is the one where you use it. You don't see it when you put it on, but when it's dried, then you see it. And it's very subtle. It's not over the top. So I may see it on this green when it's dried. Little sheen of it on there. Can you see anything? Well, it's just a reflection of the colour of the light. That's not it. but
Right.
you will. I think I will. So some more on here. Just trying to keep my poor little paintbrush, which is a beautiful new Nick Pro Round number 0. Nick Pro Round. Something here. Let's put some on top. Oh, no, I can't do that. It's not dry enough to do that yet. Lovely. So I just want to emphasize shape rather than put an eyeball in and things like that. So I'd like to do some of this. I haven't got too much on there. That's better. Like that. Lovely. Like that. I think that's enough for now. That shows you what I'm thinking anyway. The kind of thing I'm thinking of. I don't really want to go overboard, over too much. I'd quite like to do a few little bits here, maybe. Why not? Anyway, that's quite enough for now. I can finish up my drink. This one I haven't put any on yet, but I will. I certainly will. I just didn't want to push my finger on the palm of my hand onto that again and make it mucky, which is what I did before. I got the silver all over my hand. But yes, I think that's really good. I call it silver, but it's called pearl white. So now we've got one of those. You can see the difference, these two with the black in them, as well as the silver. It's got a little bit more definition, and I must do the same with those two. But I'm enjoying those. I think those are really good. They might be a little bit on the busy side. Less so.
The two on the left seem like they're done or could be done.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah, the two on the right, I think you could do a tad bit more.
Yes, but I haven't put any of the black ink on yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, but I think that's enough for now, don't you?
Yeah, those look great.
Okie dokie. Right, you're coming back to say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Here we go, ending stream. Okay. I'm coming in. Here we go. We're going.